Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Third Coast Reptile right here on YouTube. Today, well, check it out guys. Look what we have. We have new enclosures. We have stuff on the enclosures, and I'm going to go over all this stuff with you guys. I want to show you the animals that I decided to put in here that I was talking about in the previous episode, where I get to show you all the cool stuff that's in these toad ranch. You guys did an awesome job. Just saying. You guys. So we're gonna go ahead and show you guys all the cool features here, what we have in them. Also, I'm gonna show you what's in this box here, and you know why it's worth an investment to have this black box. We'll show you that here in a little bit. But don't forget, we have yet another Under the Shell segment where I answer one of your questions right here on Third Coast Reptile. Stick around. Alright guys, we're going to start right here. Now this is a 6 foot long by 2 foot high by I think 30 inches deep enclosure here. Now I have it split up into two different sections, so you can tell by my dividing board right here. Now I have on this side, this is a radiated tortoise hatchling. Now, you guys may be asking, John, how do you have a radiated tortoise here in Michigan? Well, as a Christmas present, sort of a donation to Third Coast Reptile, a friend decided to donate one of these beautiful hatchlings to me here for the channel. Now, according to law, and you can check this out on various websites, these are restricted to go across state lines, much like my Egyptian tortoise. However, the law does state that these can cross state lines for one of two scenarios. Number one, it can be on a breeder's loan. So say you have a group of females, you need a male, you're allowed to borrow a male from a different breeder across state lines to sort of make that breeding happen. The other scenario, which is what happened here, is you're allowed to be gifted a tortoise. It has to be a very generous person to do so because they are very expensive and they have to trust you. So a shout out to that fellow. I don't want to give his information out simply because I don't need him bombarded with requests for similar scenarios where somebody wants to ask to get their tortoise donated to them. So for that reason, I'm going to leave him anonymous, but I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. So I have a radiated tortoise hatchling here, and that does not require any permitting. So that's my little baby right there. I'm hoping to see him grow up. And he's going to move into a much bigger space than this. They actually get quite large. So they're from Madagascar. So on the other side here, I have what's going on here is I have these are my Burmese star tortoise hatchlings. There are 4 in here, but if you notice, there's one hiding right there. One is not like the others. So, if you lift this up, there he is. Sorry guys, I'm waking you up today. So, if you notice a difference in shell patterns, the one on the left is a Burmese star tortoise. So you can tell all the lines connect. On this side, the lines don't connect. And this is an actual Indian star tortoise. They also have, the third type is a Sri Lankan star tortoise, and they're very similar to the Indian star tortoise. The only difference is bloodline. Now, technically, these guys are all related. They are different variations based on locale, kind of like the cherry head and redfoot tortoise. There's probably another one under here. There he is. Hiding in there, escaping the heat. So in this enclosure, like I was saying, the difference. Oh, getting old, guys. The difference between the Burmese star tortoise, the Indian star tortoise, and the Sri Lankan is simply a locale and bloodline, and then there's some physical differences with the Burmese star tortoises, of course. So. I'm really excited to have them here. Obviously, it's going to be a breeding group down the line, and we look forward to that. So moving on, let's go over and check out our Egyptian star tortoise enclosure. Hey guys, next up, this is the Egyptian enclosure, excuse me. This one is 8 feet long. It is 30 inches tall, and it is 3 feet deep. From the back to the front there. So this is just for him, and I think of all the enclosures I did the best job setting this one up. Get this glass open here. There we go. As you can tell, in here we have our UVB strip. It goes all the way down that way. And then this is a Reptisun 160 watt UVB bulb, and then I just have a basking bulb on the other end there. It stays about 85 degrees in here. Currently it's, well, let's see here. It's jumped up to 87, but it's 57% humidity. I have sensors on either side here to kind of measure our humidity and heat throughout the enclosure, so I understand what's going on at all times. And then also I put the sight barrier in here, and you know how I feel about those, as well as all these fake plants in here. And they're fake because I can't keep real ones alive. It's just my curse. But just a sandy soil, and then I put some rocks here next to his plate for eating, which is a tile that I got at the Home Depot, and then it's got a water source there, which also has rocks to keep that water clean, so he gets all that sand off of him before he gets in there. But Yeah, this is his enclosure. He's currently sleeping. He was out earlier when I did the morning mist for him. But as you can see, looks pretty nice in there. I'll go ahead and shut this glass. And then, if you look, oh, excuse me, on top here, these are shells of turtles and tortoises from 30 to 35 million years ago, except for this one right here. Now this one is 75 million years old, and it's from the Cretaceous period when those guys were around. I started collecting these about when I was ordered these enclosures with the idea of having sort of these cool fossils to show on top here, along with the enclosures that are down here. Now this enclosure, this is the big boy here. This is a, let me get farther back so you can see the whole thing. This is a 12-foot enclosure. It's 12 feet from there all the way across. It is 4 feet tall from the bottom to the top. That's why it doesn't have that that rock base thing that I made. This one just sits on the ground because, as you can tell, it's still taller than the other ones. This enclosure is perfect for a group of Burmese star torts. And as you can tell, my big guy out here, my big male, he's a full-grown adult male, is out and about checking out everything today. And they have, again, two, these are T5 UVB bulbs. They are 10.0, so they're putting out adequate UVB. He has a water source in here, and just a lot of room to roam. Not too thrilled with the way this one turned out as far as the aesthetics and the plants and stuff, so I may do some redesigning in here. However, he's not alone in here. Somewhere, I bet you he's hiding. Hello, dude. I bet you he's hiding somewhere over here. Yep. You guys won't see him, but he is. Well, maybe you will. Ah, the glare. Let's see if we can move this glass out of the way. Hang on here, guys. And we can see him. He's under that rock, or under that cork bark right there, staying out of the sun. So I shut this glass. I tried, but so yeah, this is a big enclosure. Now, on top of this big enclosure are some really cool things that I've been collecting as well. These are dinosaur bones, and that is why I have the dinosaur pictures above here. I didn't want to give away why I chose dinosaur pictures, but this is why. This dinosaur bone is a Triceratops toe bone, and then this dinosaur bone here is a Triceratops jawbone, lower jawbone. And then this bone right here is a vertebrae from a Stegosaurus. Now you're wondering, well, John, you got a T-Rex over here. Well, that's because if you look right here, that is a Tyrannosaurus Rex claw. Right there. Oh, and I also have other bones here, as you can see. I think I showed you these a little bit ago. Alright guys, so as you can see, I have everything kind of set up here in the living room. I want to redo this one here. I'm not too happy with the aesthetics of it. And then also down in here in this enclosure, it looks pretty plain. So I want to add some features in there as well. So I'm going to be doing some work in there. So that's the update here for the living room. Kind of shows you the animals that I have in here and how I plan on taking care of them for the long haul. These are sort of their permanent enclosures, if you will. With the Egyptian enclosure, the Burmese stars are going to go in here. All those hatchlings that are back there are going to end up right here in this big enclosure. And that's why I wanted to get a 12-foot big enclosure, because I knew they would be great here in this big enclosure. Alright guys, so today's Under the Shell segment is brought to you by, well, me. It's brought to you by me. The reason being, I didn't have any questions this week, so I came up with my own. Given that it's so close to Christmas here, it's in a couple of days, the question that many people are asking themselves is, well, is a tortoise the right present for my child? Or rather, is my child ready for a tortoise? And this can be any time of the year, so I thought it'd be a great question to answer right here on the Under the Shell segment. So, with that, there are a few factors that you really need to consider. And that is basically measuring their responsibility level, like how committed they are to the idea. Is it something they've just recently watched a video or went to a zoo and then they said, yeah, I want one for myself? Or is this something where they spent a lot of time thinking about? And the best way I can answer that, especially for a younger child, is to have them do a book report on a tortoise. And that does a couple of things. One, it automatically makes them sort of do research on the animal ahead of time. They can then understand the commitment level. The commitment level is something huge, because it's not just care, it's the longevity, right? These tortoises live a long time, and this is something that you as a parent need to also consider. Is this something that you're willing to take on if if your child decides that it's not fun anymore, it's summertime, they want to go outside and play rather than taking care of their tortoises? And then also thinking about it from longevity, like when your child goes to college, who's going to take care of the tortoise? If that's you, great. If it has to be somebody else, it's also something to consider. So there's a lot of factors to it, but it's not unheard of. I mean, there's a lot. It's great to get kids engaged. Especially with reptiles. I think it's a great alternative to the normal pet. It definitely sparked my interest here at home, and I love them. As a child, and this is kind of why I have these fossils as well. As a child, I was really into dinosaurs. My mom had these laminated sheets on. They were on top of, they were like a border, right, on top of my walls. And I had a bunk bed, and at night I would just kind of read the information on on these border things. I don't even know what they were called. But anyway, this kind of sparked my interest in dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were my first true love, I guess, as a hobby. And I thought about it. I was like, what can I own as a pet that kind of looks like a dinosaur? And then I instantly gravitated towards reptiles. And it took me a little bit to kind of lean into the turtle and tortoise side of things, but eventually, I found my niche. I found something that I really enjoy. But I was always that way. It wasn't like an impulsive thing where I was like, oh, today I want to be a reptile owner. Now I'm committed to it. It's something that I've done for a long time. So things I would consider for yourself, and maybe judging how vested your child really is in the idea of owning a tortoise, is to do sort of that book report thing. Maybe take them to a zoo and ask a zookeeper about the commitment, and then ultimately deciding what tortoise is right for you. And that's a whole nother video in itself. I'm not really going to touch base on that, but you know, things you want to look out for, like the impulsive thing. Like, are they interested? Great. Let's wait a week or 3 weeks and see how you feel after that. And if they still do, and they've done the research and they've talked about facts and they're excited about it and they're generally self-motivated, that's a good indication that your child may be ready for tortoises. Now, let's talk about age. So I think, you know, some kids that are, you know, probably around 8 years old, maybe a little older, it's probably a good time to start them with a tortoise. I think that would be an appropriate age level where they have that sort of sense of responsibility. You know, when they're taking care of their other pets, or you know, they just have that sort of interest. So yeah, I think about 8 years old would be a good appropriate age to have, unless, you know, if you have a 5-year-old and you want to co-parent that reptile, that would be a good opportunity as well. So that answers that question for you. If you guys want to get your question answered right here on Third Coast Reptile, please leave a comment on this video or in the comment section of the Third Coast Reptile YouTube page, or on my Facebook page, Third Coast Reptile at facebook.com. How do I know that this UVB setups that I have in here with these strips and the lights and everything, how do I know that those are, well, how do I know that they're working? How do I know that they're effective? Well, there's a couple methods, and I think I showed you guys in a previous video where you can get these cards and you put the cards under the UV light and they turn purple. So when you get a power sun bulb or even a UV bulb from most carriers, they come with these charts. This is a Ferguson zone chart, and that tells you what the appropriate zone is for each reptile that you have. For example, most of my tortoises here land in a Ferguson zone 3, not 2. So goofy. So we're going to take our UVB meter. This is a UV point and shoot quick. It's got a little sensor on top, and you hit the little button and it gives you your readout. So let's see how I did here in the Egyptian tortoise enclosure. So we're going to slide this open like so. Flip this. Okay. Now we're going to get down here with our meter, and I'm going to measure this this light strip first. So we'll go to the substrate spot here, and we'll hit our button, and that's reading a 4. Well, you can't read it now. Let's get here. Let's try it again. And that's showing 4.1. That is a Ferguson zone 3. Even on the back of the meter here, it shows you what each zone would be. So we're at, like, right here in the zone 3, mostly full sun, and that's perfect for the Egyptian tortoise. Now let's test this bulb right here. This is a Power Sun 160 watt bulb. So we're going to go back here right underneath it, hit our button, and we're at 4.5. So that's a little bit more powerful. Now, given that these are so close in proximity, you know, you're probably sharing some UV exposure there. But that's okay, because that bulb over there does not emit UV whatsoever. It's just a heat bulb. So these have shelf lives of 6 months. So every 6 months I'm replacing these bulbs and the Power Sun bulb. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I track it using the Husbandry Pro app that I use for everything. So I'll say that I changed the UV bulb on this date, and then I'll set a reminder for myself for 6 months later. Now, the beauty of having this meter is it it proves whether or not that UV bulb is actually bad. The rule of thumb is 6 months, but you may have a bulb that'll last up to a year, or on the other side of it, 6 months may not have elapsed, and it's only month four, and you use this, and it shows that that UV bulb has been exhausted. Now, UV bulbs are tricky because they still emit light, right? They look like they're on, they're working, everything's good, but it may not actually be emitting UVB output. So it's good to have one of these meters. This one runs about $250, which sounds expensive, but it could save your animal's life in the long run because you know what happens when they have lack of UVB exposure. You know, they get they can't process calcium, then that can lead to metabolic bone disease and other problems down the line. It's just bad for your tortoise. So having one of these UVB meters is really good. So that kind of explains everything that's going on here in the reptile room. I've showed you how to use the UVB meter. I've showed you the new animals that are in here. Hope you guys have a great Christmas, and I may post again before the end of the year. We'll see. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time.